addition, the Los Angeles Daily News, the police have arrested 22 members of the 38th Street Gang, pending further investigation of various charges.
Well, son, I was hoping I wouldn't see you in here again.
Then why did you arrest me?
Come on, Hank. You know why you're here?
Yeah, I'm a Mexican.
Don't give me that. How long have I known you? Since 39?
Yeah, when you got me for stealing a car, remember?
All right, that was a mistake. I didn't know it was your father's car. I tried to make it up to you. Didn't I help you set up that youth club?
They turned it into a gang, Lieutenant. Everything they touch turns to shit.
I remember a kid just a couple of years back, head boy at the Catholic Youth Center. His idea of fun was going to the movies. What happened to that nice kid, Henry?
He's gone with the wind, trying to look like Clark Gable.
Now he thinks he's Humphrey Bogart.
So who are you, puto? Pat O'Brien?
This is the wrong time to be antisocial, son. This country's at war, and we're under strict orders to crack down on all malcontents.
Starting with all the pachucos and draft dodgers.
Hey, I ain't no draft dodger.
I know you're not. I heard you got accepted by the Navy. Congratulations. When do you report?
Tomorrow?
Tough break.
It's still not too late, you know. I could still release you in time to get sworn in.
If I do what?
Tell me, Henry, what do you know about a big gang fight last Saturday night out at Sleepy Lagoon?
Don't tell him shit.
Which Sleepy Lagoon?
You mean there's more than one? Come on, Hank. I know you were out there. I've got a statement from your friends that says you were beaten up. Is that true? Were you and your girlfriend attacked?
I don't know anything about it. Nobody's ever beat me up.
That's a lie and you know it. Thanks to your squealer friends, we got enough dope on you to indict for murder right now.
Murder?
Yeah, murder. Another greaser named Jose Williams.
I never heard the vato.
Yeah, sure.
I've been looking at your record, Hank. Petty theft, assault, burglary, and now murder. Is that what you want? The gas chamber? Play square with me. Give me a statement as to what happened at the lagoon, and I'll go to bat for you with the Navy. I promise you.
If that ain't a line of gabacho bullshit, I don't know what is.
Well,
Spit in his pinche face.
Forget it, Lieutenant. You can't treat these animals like people.
shut up. I'm thinking of your family, Hank. Your old man would be proud to see you in the Navy. One last chance, son. What do you say?
I ain't your son, cop.
All right. Raina, have it your way.
You don't deserve it, essay, but you're going to get it anyway.
All right, muchacho. It's just me and you now. I hear tell you Pachucos wear these monkey suits as a kind of armor. Is that right? How's it work? This is what you Zooters need, a little old-fashioned discipline.
Hey, screw you, Flatfoot.
You greasy son of a bitch. What happened at the Sleepy Lagoon? Talk. Talk. Talk.
Henry.
Get up and escape, Henry. Leave reality behind with your buenas garras. Muy chambelán. Escape through the barrios streets of your mind, through a neighborhood of memories, all chocolate lined, and the love and the pain as fine as wine.
Henry.
It's a lifetime ago, last Saturday night, before a Sleepy Lagoon and the big bad fight.
Henry.
Tu mamá, carnal.
Henry, hijo, ven a cenar.
Ah, sorry, Jefita. I'm not hungry. Besides, I gotta go pick up Della. We're late for the dance.
Dance in this heat? Don't you muchachos ever think of anything else? God knows I suffer la pena negra seeing you go out every night.
This isn't just any night, Jefa. It's my last chance to wear my tacuche.
Tacuche, pero tu padre.
I know what mi papá said, I'm going to wear it anyway.
Mira, hijo, I know you work hard for your clothes, and I know how much they mean to you. Pero por Diosito Santo, I just don't know what you see in esa cochinada de Zoot.
Oh, drapes, ama. We call them drapes.
I see drapes. Muy funny, ¿verdad? And what do the police call them, eh? They put you in jail so many times. ¿Sabes qué? I'm going to send them all your clothes.
Ah, give me, ama. Don't worry. By this time next week, I'll be wearing my navy blues, okay?
Bendito sea Dios. I still can't believe you're going off to the war. I almost wish you were going back to jail.
Órale.
Hank, let's go, carnal. Della's here.
Dela, órale esa. What are you doing here? I told you I was going to pick you up at your house.
You know how my father gets.
What happened?
I'll tell you later.
Dela, hija, buenas noches. How pretty you look.
Buenas noches.
Oye, ¿y tú? What's wrong with you? What are you doing back there?
Nothing, Ama.
Well, come out then.
We're late, Ama.
Come out, te digo. Válgame Dios, Guadalupe, are you crazy? Why bother to wear anything?
Ay, Ama, it's the style. Short skirt and fingertip coat. Huh, Hank?
Yeah, ma.
Oh, see? And how come Della doesn't get to wear the same style?
No, that's different. No chale.
Yeah,
Ándale, go change before your father sees you.
I'm home. Buenas noches, everybody.
Buenas noches, Jefito.
Hola.
Ay, hija, where's the skirt?
It's here.
Where's the rest of it?
Going to the dance.
Y a mí que me importa. Go and change those clothes, ándale.
Please, Appa.
No, señorita.
Ay, Chihuahua, I don't want to look like a square.
Te digo que no. I will not have my daughter looking like a...
Like a puta. I mean, pachuca.
Hank,
Do what they say, sis.
but you let Henry wear his drapes.
That's different. He's a man. Es hombre.
See, that's different. You men are all alike. From such a stick, such a splinter. De tal palo, tan astillota.
Natural. Muy natural. And look how he came out. Bien macho, like his father. ¿Verdad, mijo?
If you say so, Jefito.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Pa, this is Dela Barrios.
Mira, mira. So this is your new girlfriend, eh? Muy bonita. Quite a change from the last one.
Ay, señor.
It's true. What was her name?
Berta.
That's the one. The one with tattoos.
Este hombre, we have company.
That reminds me. I invited the compadres to the house mañana.
¿Y qué?
I'm buying a big keg of cerveza to go along with the menudo.
Oye, ¿cuál menudo?
¿Qué, cara, mujer? It isn't every day a man's son goes off to fight for his country. I should know. De la mija. When I was in the Mexican Revolution, I was not even as old as my son.
No, hombre, don't start with your revolution. We'll be here all night.
Yeah, Jefe, we've got to go.
Appa, is this better?
Bueno. And you leave it that way.
Órale, pues, it's getting late. Hey, where's Rudy?
He's still getting ready. Rudy!
Let's go, everybody. I'm ready.
Vayan guarachas sabrosón, el besito y el danzón. ¡Hurra!
Let's talk Zoot Suit. Zoot Suit is a play written by Luis Valdez and it premiered in 1979. It is a storytelling about the discrimination and the institutionalized prejudice that the Los Angeles Chicano population faced in the 1940s. So in this particular story, we're following Henry Reyna and his 38th Street Gang, which Henry we meet during the reading we just watched. In this particular scene, we get a sense of what the interactions were like between the authority figures and the Chicanos, the Pachucos themselves. The two characters which stand out to me the most are Sergeant Smith and Pachuco, because they, I feel, embody the extreme anger that each group had and the feelings they had towards each other. There was a lot of mistrust and there was no communication and no understanding from either side. In this play, Valdez weaves the stories and real-life events of the community of this time, of the 1940s, and the events that surrounded the Sleepy Lagoon murder trials, and just how these trials were the precursor to the Zoot Suit riots, which followed after. So let's talk a little bit about Sleepy Lagoon. August 1st, 1942, there's a party at Sleepy Lagoon, and during this party, a fight breaks out between Zoot Suiters. Well, the next day, one of the partygoers, Jose Diaz, dies. And the authority then steps in and investigates, we're going to say a little loosely here, and pins the murder on these Zoot Suiters, but they don't really know who it could actually be. So the way they kind of went about it is they just rounded up Zoot Suiters that they saw on the street and tried to pin the murder on them, accusing them of all being involved in this incident. These Zoot Suiters, these pachucos, didn't have much credibility at the time because the rest of the American community already saw them as gang members, as being violent, and as not fitting in with the social norms of the rest of society. So, we have Sleepy Lagoon, 1942. Let's jump to June 3rd, 1943, where a group of sailors then accused a group of Zoot Suiters of having attacked them. The very next day, these sailors and other members of other authority figures kind of went on this manhunt for Zoot Suiters and began rounding them up and attacking them in the streets, berating their humanity. They would rip off their Zoot suits, which was such a defining characteristic and sense of identity for the pachucos. And what these sailors were essentially doing was stripping these Zoot Suiters of their pride. So that didn't sit well with many of them, and therefore we have these riots where now the Zoot Suiters, these pachucos, the Chicano youth is starting to fight back. So following the riots, we jump ahead a little bit to the 60s, and yes, the riots were a huge defining moment for the Mexican American youth community, but now soon after that, we kind of have this period of displacement where these people still don't quite have a place to fit in, and they're not accepted yet by the rest of society. And so in the 60s, we have the Chicano movement, but specifically we're going to look at El Movimiento of the Pachucas. Now, if you think back to the scene, during the reading, we have the character Lupe, and she has this interaction with her father where she comes out in the skirt that is maybe not so appropriate for a lady of her age, a lady of her culture. And so dad is very disapproving and immediately asks her to change. And even though she is unhappy and disagrees and wants to argue about the fact that everyone else is wearing the kind of clothes that she has on, at the same time, she has to change. She's expected to go change her clothes, no questions asked. And she comes out, and then finally dad says, okay, that's fine, you can go. But right before that entire, we meet all these other characters, there's an exchange between the characters of Henry and his mother, Dolores. And she kind of makes a comment about the drapes that he's wearing. And even though she doesn't quite like them and doesn't really approve of what he's wearing, it's more of a laughable moment where she's like, oh, these Zoot Suiters. And there's no asking of him to change what he's wearing. So right here, we're already seeing the separation between the expectations between males and females. And it was completely uneven. So as we've seen in some of our readings, we can definitely see that within the movement, there was a movement. This sentiment was not something that just happened during the Chicano movement of the 60s. And the play that is based in the 1940s, we're already seeing what it was like then. These Chicanas really needed to find their voice and find their place, and I believe they did that by going against the norm and fighting the odds and not giving in and conforming to what society expected by wearing drapes just as the men did. And they kind of redefined what it meant to be a Pachuca during these war times. I feel that this is a really great scene because it gives us a little bit of everything. We get an idea of the relationship that the authority figures and the Chicano community had and what kinds of interactions they would have with one another, most of the time very hostile. And then on the other side, we also kind of see the family dynamic, and then also how your gender defines your responsibility. And then, more than that, Zoot Suit is a play which kind of will segue into this conversation about the development of Chicano theater. So Teatro Chicano was started in 1968 by Guadalupe Saavedra, and it is a troupe, a theater troupe, if you will, of actors that are traveling to all these different places and essentially telling the story of their Chicano people to other Chicanos and to anyone else who pretty much would listen. And it's giving a voice to all of their experiences and kind of solidifying who they were as a people and what their identity was like at this time. So this play, developed about 10 years after, is kind of an ode, if you will, to the history of the Zoot Suiters and the Pachucas and the development of theater for the Chicano community. In addition to Teatro Chicano, we have Teatro Campesino, which was the migrant workers. So now we have a different kind of people now thrown into this mix. And the role that the migrant workers took on in this Teatro Campesino was to bring awareness to the Delano grape strike that occurred between 1965 and 1967. Now, as a theater person, I very much enjoy the performing arts and all aspects of it. But I think something that we don't always talk about is the kind of role that theater plays in also social movements and the kind of voice and power that it can have in bringing a community together and telling the stories of a people that we might not have ever really understood had it not been for recreations just like this Zoot Suit. Now, if we talk a little bit more contemporary to this whole Chicano theater, and if you're not already familiar, I'd like to introduce you to a group called Casa 101, which is based out in Boyle Heights, is where they have is where they're located. And it is very much a Chicano theater group. And yes, there are all kinds of people that are involved. Actually, my mom is the one who is very involved in this, and she's Nicaraguan. But their goal is to not only do contemporary work, so we see things like Sister Act and Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and things that everyone else is familiar with, but they really are giving the opportunity for the Latin American youth, the Chicano youth, to create voices for themselves in today's day. Specifically, they put on a production every year called Chicanas, Cholas y Chisme, which is about Women X and her story. And I feel that this is a great example and culmination of everything that we've already discussed, because this particular event, Chicanas, Cholas y Chisme, is a feature for Chicana and Latina writers. So this is definitely their moment to tell her story and to essentially show where their place is in society now and the power that they have, which is exactly what the Pachucas of the 1940s were also fighting for, is this idea of equality and this idea that who they were as women, as people, as Mexicans, as even Americans to some extent, and what that meant for them. And then now to introduce a little bit of a new concept, but still kind of keeping it connected, is we were introduced in our lectures about the mariposa consciousness and how the word mariposa affected more so the LGBT community, specifically males. And as we've talked before about how Chicanas had their movement within the Chicano movement, there's this other movement of the LGBT community within the Chicano community that still, even today, has a hard time fitting in and finding their place within that culture, within that society. I feel that because culturally, Mexicans are very traditional and they're very religious. And so to be a person within the LGBT community, it's hard enough when you're dealing with society and the acceptance that you need to get from strangers, but when your own family already kind of has this idea of who you should be and then they do not accept who you really are, it makes that load just that much heavier. So keeping with this group and this theater group in Boyle Heights, they have a festival that they've created called Brown and Out. Just as they give the opportunity for Chicanas to tell her story, they are also giving now an outlet for the LGBT community in the Chicano community to also create voices and create stories and create a place for themselves. And as we saw in Mariposa Consciousness, that they took this word mariposa and redefined it to make it something beautiful and something empowering. This Brown and Out festival does the very same thing, because now it is redefining their place and giving them a place to fit in and to feel like they have some sort of value. So to make it a little bit more personal, I am Mexican from my father's side, and I also identify within the LGBTQ community. And while I don't quite consider myself a Chicana, because I also have this Nicaraguan side that tells my story, I can identify with the feelings of needing to find your place and trying to see where you fit in a society that isn't always very open and loving and accepting, and to grow up in a family that isn't always loving and accepting. And oftentimes I'm also trying to create my own narrative and find my path. Everything that this community of people had to go through from the time of the Zoot Suiters up until now is moving and inspiring, because I feel that the Chicano community is a community that does not give up, and they don't take no for an answer very well, and they're not going to let anyone else define who they are as a group of people or as individuals. So to kind of wrap it up, I am very fortunate to have discovered and be a part of this wonderful performing arts community, and I feel that it has been a beautiful outlet to bring different kinds of people together, and gives us power and empathy and sympathy for one another, and to be able to take these stories as the story that we hear and learn about in Zoot Suit, and the stories that we've learned about throughout this entire course, and understand people a little bit more, and be able to see the world from a different perspective, and realize that it's much bigger than us, and that we need to come together and stand for one another as we're each trying to stand for ourselves as well.